Okay, so I have two big regrets. My first big regret was selling my first home. And my second biggest regret is
Welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate with your host, Denise Laframboise. Real people sharing real stories about their adventures in real estate.
Okay, welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate. I'm your host, Denise Laframboise, and today I have CRISTIN TEDFORD with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about owning rental properties and buying rental properties. So welcome, CRISTIN. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Denise. Thanks for having me.
And so do you want to share a little bit about buying rental properties, like what you guys did when you bought your first property, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So my husband and I, we've got two kids, and we saw the real estate market continue to, trend upwards for ourselves with our own personal property. And we noticed that we were growing some equity in our personal property. And we thought, we need to put this equity to good use. It doesn't do any good just sitting there being unattributed to anything. And knowing that we've got two kids and we want them to, own homes in the future, which starts to get a little scary when you see the prices of homes today. You wonder, how am I ever going to get my kid to become a homeowner 10, 15, 20 years down the road? So we decided, let's put this equity to good use. We actually went to a real estate investment sort of meeting that is what triggered that thought process for us, because even being in real estate and being surrounded by real estate our whole lives, our parents were realtors, we never thought to own additional properties other than our principal residence. We were intrigued by using our equity to help us buy more properties. We had decided, let's go ahead and try to buy a new property that one day we'd be able to hand off or pass down or, use to further our children's ability to own a home in the future.
Yeah. And I mean, this is my jam, right? It's kind of funny because when your parents don't own rental properties, you don't think about it. And because Gabe's dad was very into rentals, when we bought even our first home, he's like, hey, we're looking for something you can keep as a rental. Like, it was always on track. And the plan was always step one, this is house one. Like, it was never, this is your forever house. What can we do next? So we always had that mindset. And then, when you're a parent, like now, when I look at the market and I think, okay, so I can buy a rental now that my kids could maybe take over, or that I could sell to help them buy something in the future, or I can help them buy a 1-bedroom condo for $2 million when they're ready to buy it. Like, no way, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'd much rather get into the market now if we can. And we help a lot of people use like the equity in their home. I mean, everybody says, oh, my home's gone up this much in value. But if it's just sitting there and you're not doing anything with it, inflation is working against you and that money is doing nothing. So unless you sell or unless you refinance or use a line of credit and pull the money out to do something with it, it really isn't serving you.
Yeah, exactly. So we took the leap. We did a little refinance on our own property so that way we could pull out some of that equity, and we used that equity as the down payment on the rental property. So it was it felt like it was free money because we were using what we already owned. We just didn't have it evaluated on us. If that
you're buying
sense.
With no money down. Like, a lot of people think I have to save up a down payment before I can buy another property. And
That's
if we
right.
can access equity in your home and potentially you refinance and you change the structure of the mortgage so that your payments are lower, so that your monthly may not even be more expensive for taking money out.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. And so it was quite exciting for us because we had this found money that we had worked hard for, but the equity was working itself for us. And then we were able to buy a new property and put a lovely family in that home. And it's been a really great experience right from the start.
And then
Owning.
you have two houses building equity instead of one, right?
That's right.
When you have one house and you think, oh, my house went up all this much. Well, what if you had two? Then you would be making twice as much money, or three,
Exactly. And
right?
then we started to think that. So we took our learnings from our first, saying, well, what if we had a second rental property? And we used the equity from our first rental property to subsequently purchase an additional rental property. So we just continue to build our wealth through owning real estate while using the growth that came from that real estate to purchase more real estate. So again, we didn't have to save any more money. The savings was done for us naturally based on the upward trajectory of the market.
Yeah. And then, so what are some other good things? So besides it obviously going up in value and making you money, other good things that you found you've learned from owning rental properties?
You stumped me.
Oh. Okay, well, what about things that you have learned that you did not enjoy? Like, has there been any things that were surprising to you about owning rental properties or that you didn't realize?
Yeah, some of the surprising things to me were everyone talks about it being passive income.
Oh, yeah.
You buy a property and you put your tenant in there and you just sit and watch your investment grow. Passive income is your RSP, having, your money manager do that for you. Owning a rental property certainly isn't passive income. It's wonderful growth opportunities, but it's really your hands-on. So to me, I felt like it took a little bit more than what I had expected it to take. First, finding the right tenants and then managing the tenants throughout the time frame.
Yeah. And I mean, you can hire that out. Like you can hire a property manager and they're usually about 1 month's rent for the year to look after your property and manage your tenants and respond to things. But yeah, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I have rental properties. It's so passive. I'm like, do you get a phone call at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night that the smoke detector is going and they don't really want to leave their house? So you have to go change a battery in a smoke detector 45 minutes away? Because I do, right? Like it is not passive. It is still 100% worth it. I love that people are paying my houses off and I am not paying those payments, but it is 100% not passive. And it's important that it's not passive because if you do not take the care to pick the right people and really research your tenants or make sure that you're, accepting the right tenants, you're going to cause more problems for you in the future, right?
Yeah, 100% agree. Absolutely agree. And, to your point about accepting the right tenants, finding the right tenants, that's one of the other challenges that we had in a duplex that we've got. We did find that we had a lot of turnover. And that was at first. Initially, we had a lot of turnover, and it wasn't because we had maybe the wrong tenants or we had to remove the tenants. We've never actually had to remove a tenant, so we've been fortunate in that instance for our experience. But the turnover, it was taking a lot of time. Then you have to go back to the drawing board, find another tenant, make sure that that tenant is the right tenant. You've got a little bit of vacancy in there, so you're not earning, that rental income in those months of vacancy. But then there is opportunity in turnover, right? During turnover timeframes, you can adjust the rental rates to reflect the current market rental rates.
Yeah.
So there's always
turnover. I would rather have somebody leave on their own than have to take them to the landlord tenant board. Like we had to do that once and they were a great tenant. They were a great tenant for years. And then something happened in their life that changed things a bit. And it was still worth it. But the stories I heard while sitting there will stay with me to my core of just like people who wouldn't pay or like the guy had rented to somebody and that person was in jail. And the person in jail that he rented to had squatters in the house. And because he didn't have the names of the squatters, he could not evict them. because he
Oh,
didn't have a contract with them. And the police
terrible.
wouldn't give him the names. It was unbelievable. I was like, how does this even happen to people?
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard some nightmares about doing that, but you know what? With any investment, there's always risk and reward. And I truly feel that with real estate investing, the reward outweighs any of those risks. And it's really one of the best ways to grow your own personal wealth and to grow wealth for your children in the future.
Oh yeah. And I will say too, with the pandemic now, it actually has opened up, and the housing price is so high. There are a lot of fantastic tenants out there. There are a lot of
Absolutely.
people who can never save the down payment to get into the market, but have great jobs, right?
Absolutely.
Or there are lots of separations, right? When you get locked into a house with your family for 2 years, you figure out if that's really the family you want to be with,
This is very true.
right? And having somebody who's separated, they often have very good income and want to stay in a certain school district and have the
Yeah.
money to pay it, and have also been a homeowner before, so know how to care for a property really
Yeah,
well.
there's pride of ownership in that.
Yeah, but just can't get in the market because they're a single person and you need two incomes to get in sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
So I do find there's really never been a better time to get really good tenants. Um, but yeah, so and what did you learn? Anything you've learned, or any regrets, anything that you would do differently?
So I learned I learned it from you about registering a collateral charge when you actually take the mortgage right from the get-go. So that way, when you do build that equity, you can use that equity to further purchase another property without having to do a refinance and
Yeah.
pay additional fees. So, ultimately saving you more money in the end to continue to grow your money.
Yeah, and part of that's just the planning. Like if you realize early on that I'm going to buy more properties, and you're going to set up all your properties to be able to access more equity, or potentially, even if they're not going up in value, maybe having a readvanceable mortgage, so that you can use strategies like the Smith maneuver, or just that as you pay down your mortgage, that money becomes available in a line of credit, so you can use it to buy the next one, right?
Yeah,
It's really about, if you know what your goals are, you know where you want to go, you can get there faster if you plan from the beginning. Um,
absolutely.
any other regrets, thoughts, anything?
Okay, so I have two big regrets. My first big regret was selling my first home. I I wish I had known or thought into the future at that time, and I would have kept it and had a renter in that property. So that, to me, never, don't sell the properties that you want to hold long term. There always needs to be an exit strategy in your investment and in your real estate, but it has to be a thoughtful exit strategy based on what your long-term goals are. So I regret selling my first Brooklyn townhouse because
Oh gosh.
it's gone up in so much value, and we could have become real estate investors sooner in the game.
Yeah, like honestly, when I think about the down payment, or the purchase price on my first house, is what the down payment had to be on my most recent house. How
Right?
crazy is that?
I know. And my second biggest regret is not buying more houses sooner. And
Yeah.
that's something, you learn along the way, and hindsight is 2020. And as long as we continue on the path of, building our real estate portfolio, then you're on the right path. You don't want to stop. If you see an opportunity in the market to purchase a rental property, don't be afraid. Just jump on it, go for it, as long as it financially makes sense. That's my biggest thing. I wish I had bought more sooner.
Yeah. Buy more and buy faster, right?
Yes, that's right.
And that's awesome. Thank you for sharing all that. Now, you also have a business. So do you want to share with people what you guys do in the real estate world?
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband, Stephen, and I, we are local Durham region realtors. We are a team of two. And, we've been in the real estate industry for more than 10 years ourselves. And we come from a long line of family members that were real estate agents. So we've, been in this business basically our whole lives. And we help people buy and sell real estate in the Durham region. We work with a lot of families, but we also work with a lot of investors as well, to help them on the same path that we are on. Yeah. And that's the best way to build your wealth in the end.
And honestly, like that's what this podcast was all about. Like I have people call me all the time and say, somebody told me this. And it's like, do not listen to anybody about what to do with your money unless they are doing it with their own money.
Yeah. And that's what we're finding a lot right now. You share your relevant experiences with past clients and friends, and you share with them how you've been able to pay off your own mortgage by buying another house. They're like, how did you pay off your mortgage by buying another house? Well, we bought a rental property. The equity's there. Mm-hmm. Start to pay down your own. And then once you pay down that, you've got more money then that you can buy more properties. And now all of a sudden your net worth is greater. You've got protection for yourself as you age. You've got properties for your children to go into. If you need to sell one of them for whatever reason, you've got access to do all of this stuff. And it doesn't really cost you a lot right now.
Well, and what I always preach about is exit strategies.
Yes.
So like if I buy stock in Nortel, what exit strategies do I have if that goes down? Sell at a loss or wait for it to go back up. Those are my only two choices.
That's right.
If I have a property, I can renovate it and sell it. I can renovate it and refinance it. I can rent to own it to somebody else. I can renovate it into a duplex and then rent it for more money. Or I can renovate it into a duplex and sell it to somebody else. I could sell it to a developer and they could buy it and tear it down and build on it. Like there are so many exit strategies for real estate compared to just generic investments. And you have more control over those. Exactly. I don't have control over what Nortel does when I buy their stock. Right? That's right. Or Volkswagen or whatever you're going to buy, right? Right. You're giving up that control, but you're also giving up the exit strategies. I like a lot of exit strategies. It's great, right?
Yeah, well, it gives you options, right?
Yeah. So if people have questions about maybe owning a rental, anything we discussed here, or real estate in general, or real estate in Durham, and they want to find you, how can they find you?
Well, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, where we are Tedford Homes Real Estate Team. You can call directly 416-939-4291, or Stephen is 905-442-9130. And you can also see our website, tedfordhomes.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Denise.
Really appreciate you sharing. And I think you'll help a lot of people, even if it's just that knowledge of if you're getting into this, make sure that you remember it's going to take a bit of time.
Yeah, time, and it's exciting. Just take the leap, go for it. You won't regret it.
Call us. We will talk you into it. So this is a Real Story and Real Estate podcast. It can be found on Spotify or on our website or anywhere that you consume your podcasts. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks.